is take a second, less than a second of geologic time, and kind of project that into the future.
The Earth has been around for 4.56 billion years, and in those years seas have frozen over, then melted, covering the continents completely, and then frozen over again. We are constantly changing our environment, and this will continue for the rest of Earth's life. To put it on a scale, the human race has only been around for 1 second of Earth's 24-hour life, which means the industrial period on Earth has only been here for even less. How are we supposed to predict the future with only 1 second of evidence? According to globalresearch.ca, the Earth has never had a steady climate, and it never will.
We're in a period right now called an interstadial period, which is in between ice ages, and the preponderance of evidence, geologic evidence over the last couple million years is that we're going to go back into another ice age. So I think you need to be very careful about projecting something like global warming into the future forever. That's something that just isn't in the cards from a geological perspective.
Global warming is a gradual increase in the temperature of Earth's atmosphere. Over the past 100 years, the Earth's initial temperature has risen 1.53 degrees Fahrenheit. Yet we are so terrified of the frying of our Earth. The IPCC hockey stick graph projects the warming to be a significant increase, which tends to mislead most viewers. Although the temperature is slowly increasing at the time, Shootout.org is convinced an ice age will happen again.
There have been times in the past, geologically, when there has, in terms of absolute measurement of CO2 in the atmosphere, you had 45 times more carbon dioxide in the atmosphere than you do today. And that time in particular was back in the Permian and Pennsylvanian era geologically, which was about 400 to 450 million years ago.
Throughout the history of Earth, CO2 levels have increased and decreased, even before humans. Although today there might be an elevated amount of CO2 in our atmosphere, if you look back, there are times where it's been even higher. If you look closely at a CO2 temperature chart, you'll see that CO2 is a result of temperature increase. We are going through another one of Earth's warming periods, and CO2 emission is inevitable. Even the simple acts of exhaling can release CO2 into our air.
What you can say is that the climate has changed radically over a long, long period of time. And it's been a lot warmer. There's been periods where CO2 in the atmosphere has been much, much higher in terms of its absolute level in the atmosphere than it is today.
But the IPCC and other organizations fail to acknowledge that our climate on Earth is always changing. 20,000 years ago was a huge ice age, then there was a warming period. 12,000 years ago there was a second small ice age, and of course that was followed by another warming period. Throughout history, CO2 is being put into our atmosphere and then sucked up again, and it just so happens that these last few years it is being emitted again, and our technology is finally good enough to see it.
The Earth may be slightly heating, but it's due to natural processes. Therefore, we shouldn't be worried. And then, the term global warming is just a fictional phenomenon.
Hello, my name is Kennedy Clark. I will be doing the Global Warming Iceberg Challenge. The cold water that is going to be poured on me represents the melted ice from our polar ice caps. And I am wearing a blue poncho to represent our Earth. And that yoga ball represents how global warming could be hitting us if it was real.
Somebody call 911. Shawty fire burning on the dance floor.